Welcome to the Boys and Girls Haven Happenings podcast, featuring conversations and stories designed to equip, mobilize, and encourage our community to support children and young adults in foster care. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Haven Happenings.
Does this make it bad if I shut the door?
No, that'll be fine.
Okay, I don't want the dog. I don't have to worry about the dog.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
You have to stay here. You can't travel. Sorry. I'm sorry. You can't leave. Just stay put. Chill out. I didn't leave you in the barn. Be grateful. No, yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this, Sarah.
Yeah, no problem.
I think it's pretty hilarious that you brought a dog to a podcast about animal-assisted therapy.
I needed it today. Even adults need it sometimes.
Yeah, are you saying animals can be therapeutic?
Absolutely.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, and that's what we're talking about today. I don't know if you've listened to any of the other episodes. This is episode 5.
Amazing.
And I'm kind of amazed we've not done one on animal-assisted therapy yet, because it's such an integral part of Boys and Girls Haven and the agency and the campus.
Yeah, that's probably half my fault. You've tried. I'm pretty sure you've tried. But we're here today and we're making it happen.
Well, I know that you're a pretty camera-shy person. Honestly, as am I. I prefer to be behind it. But this is a little bit more relaxed.
It is really nice.
No cameras in your face.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do too. So no, we're gonna have a good podcast today. I'm excited.
I love it.
And this is something too that this program is something that I want to learn more about. And I've obviously been up to the barn quite a few times, bringing my cat up there to explore, taking a lot of pictures. But I don't know a lot about your background and how you got involved, and also some of the smaller intricacies of animal-assisted therapy and why it's so good for foster children specifically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know that you live on a farm right now, and you've probably been around animals your entire life.
Yep. Just good guess.
Me knowing you.
Yep,
Thank
absolutely.
you. Yeah. You come across that way. Raised in a barn, you could say.
Literally, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your background and kind of where you grew up.
Well, I mean, you guessed it right. I actually was, I'm going to say, riding horses while I was in my mother's womb. So, animals have always been a thing. My grandparents, I guess, traditionally, we were agriculture people. So we've always been on farms. Just recently, we've just made our farm bigger. So definitely grandparents were dairy farmers. The other side of the grandparents were the horse people. And that kind of got me onto my crazy horse lady, I guess, look today.
I actually have you in my phone as Sarah Jacoby, crazy barn lady.
I love it. I tell people to put just barn lady, crazy horse lady. It works. You know who it is, though, so it works perfectly. But we've always been on a farm. We've always had horses. I used to show horses when I was younger. I did 4-H, FFA. I did all that fun stuff. Anything with horses, I wanted to do it. And when I was in elementary school, if there was books with horses, there was a little section of the horse books, and I read every single one. The librarian would be like, "You read them all." I'm like, "Dang, okay, just give me this one again." That's literally me. So it's not just horses anymore. I've evolved to lots of other animals since working with them so much. But we've always had horses. I've had a little pony when I was a kid. And when I used to show him, he was so stubborn, but he taught me a lot about myself. And then I grew up and I got the horse people will know this. It's called an appendix. It's a thoroughbred quarter horse mix. So she was my, I guess you could say, second horse. And now I have 11 personally.
Wow, that is a lot. I'm on the fence about getting a second cat. So 11 horses is
There's a lot
insane.
of cats. There's a lot of cats there too.
I bet. I've seen the photos on Facebook.
Yeah, sorry. That's all you're going to see on my Facebook.
It's good. I like keeping up with you, Sarah.
Okay, good.
Keeping up with you and your crazy animal shenanigans. So, what is it about animals that drew you to them as a young person? And have you always been interested in working with them as a career? Or is that something that kind of came about later? I know you said you've been riding horses since you were in the womb, just about.
Yeah, always, yes. Sometimes I say being a horse person can be a phase. The girls, they like the horses and whatnot, and then eventually they can phase out. I never did. I never phased out. I think it was in high school is when I decided. It was my ag teacher, and I was very close with him because we did FFA with him as well. And so we would do like the FFA trips and, all these things.
Yeah.
Competitions, public speaking. We did all that fun stuff. But he said, you would do really good with people and horses. And I was like, no, like I want something that made money. To live this lifestyle of all the animals, I needed money. But no, he recommended something with people and horses. And we even had, it was a group for more of the special ed class. We even had them come to our farm in high school and they did a field trip. They got to meet the peacocks, the horses. They did all this really fun stuff. And I think it was after that, he said, you should do something with people and horses. And that's when I was like, you know what? Maybe I should. And I started to explore the horses and people side of things.
Yeah.
Which there is different things. Like I didn't know there was difference.
And you said this is FFA?
Yes, FFA, my FFA advisor / agriculture teacher.
So can you explain to me and everybody else probably what FFA is?
So nowadays, it's Future Farmers of America, but nowadays, so it was a lot of the agriculture people, but now it's more leadership. It's you don't have to have animals or a farm to be an FFA. So they focus on that public speaking, the leadership qualities, how we facilitate a meeting. We get to, if we want to do an event, like we would get to, we had committees. And that committee person had to go and organize everything. So it teaches you a lot of like decision making and again, that leadership, social skills, all of those things to be able to, again, you don't even need animals, but a lot of us did.
So it sounds like leadership in the farming community and kind of advocacy for farmers and infrastructure.
Yes. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Nice. So that's probably what helped me get there, I guess, because that's what opened the eyes to, it's not all about the animals. You're going to have to,
right.
There's more to it. And that's kind of where it came from, though, for sure.
So it's about animals and people. Yep. And thank you for explaining that because I am notoriously bad with acronyms and FFA went completely over my head.
Oh, sorry.
No, all good. I do that all the time. And we're in a field that has lots of acronyms. So it happens constantly.
I know that one.
So did you study either before or after FFA to be a therapist or to work with animals and people?
Yeah, so, throughout my whole life, I always had the animal part down. I knew animals really well. I didn't really have a problem. We had dogs, we had cats, we had cows. Work with an angry cow, I'm just saying. That's a 1,000-pound, 2,000-pound critter who's trying to get you. We kind of, I don't know, I'm having a brain fart a bit, but I guess I don't know what was the final moment, but I did go to college. And I didn't know what to do when I first got my bachelor's. I went to K-State, Kentucky State University. I got a scholarship there. So when I went there, I was like, I don't know. I was going to do physical therapy, and I was going to try to do the hippotherapy world, where you have people ride horses for the benefits of the body and the mind.
So not hippos.
Not hippos. No.
Okay.
I don't know why they call it hippotherapy. I didn't get that far into all that, but it had something with horses, and I actually volunteered at a center, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And then I got into what physical therapy needs, the human body, science. And I was like, this sucks. This is not for me. So I got out of it pretty darn quick, thank goodness. And I got into social work. That's where my brain fart was. And that's when I started to learn more about what social workers did. And I was like, oh, I like this. That's more clicking to me than anything. Because that's what I used to do with my animals in general. I had my animals and we'd bring people over and it actually benefit and help them. So that's just me on my own farm. We even making no money, And so I went from social work, bachelor's degree, and then I went, and I still loved it, and I did clinical social work for the master's degree at Campbellsville University. So that was the schooling behind all of that. I did not, I guess I could take an exam and become a therapist. I didn't do that. It scares me a little bit.
Because tests are scary.
Yeah, well, I think tests are scary. And then 2, I'm not great at them, but 3, I've really focused on the horses. So there is a certification that I'm working on that I'd rather focus on first, but it would be nice to get that certification just for the future. I still feel young. I'll get there eventually.
I'm sure. Yeah, you got time and you're able to prioritize which one you want to get first.
So
that's great.
Not a licensed therapist, but have a lot of experience from the clinical social work field.
Yeah. Well, just from my own personal observations, you certainly know what you're doing around both the kids and the animals, and those two mesh pretty perfectly for the program.
That was very sweet.
Yeah, no, of course. That's what I'm here for. To charm you.
It's working.
So, yeah, I was going to ask kind of how you ended up in such an offbeat and unconventional, cool career. You've already pretty much answered that. Sounds like you had a similar kind of career pathway as I did. I went to school for political science and took some social work classes as part of that degree and realized I don't really love the poli-sci side, but I really like the people-centric, kind of on the floor social work side. And so when I came back from Louisville, from where I was studying, I was like, you know what, I would love to do something that revolves around social work and is within that field. And that's how I ended up here.
Yeah.
So it's like you had the same kind of journey, but through agriculture to social work and then to BGH.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think that's how maybe it starts maybe with some people. We have that passion and then we kind of find that purpose for the passion, I guess. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful way to put it.
It is. Yeah. I know. It brings a tear to my eye. So can you explain a little bit more kind of the nitty gritty about what animal assisted therapy is and how it can help people with their emotional regulation and healing, and how it's helpful specifically for kids in foster care?
Yeah, that's a lot of questions. So I hope I get them all because I do have a lot of brain farts and it's a Friday. But so we did just have the equine program. They kind of just, and it was only just horses, but we have other things like guinea pigs. We finally have the certified therapy dogs. We have the cats like Mr. Boomy, your sweet boy. We have the ferrets. We have a lot of other different animals. We have pigs. And now we have a therapy goat that's kind of being fostered and coming almost every day. I didn't bring him today. That would have been total distraction. He would have been all over the place.
Oh, Rocky! Well, I saw a video from him on the basketball court the other day.
Wasn't he cute? He loved it. He was great. He was learning some defense.
Yeah.
Luckily, he didn't pop the ball with his horns, and he enjoyed it. The client, I never seen that client just giggle and be so happy. It was just cool to see that client brighten up. It was kind of going from lazy and boring. The kid would walk slow. He was like, yeah, not really answering questions too. We got to that basketball court, and with Rocky just did it. Like, I don't train him to do that. Rocky just knew, and he just went. And I just let go of the leash and let him go because he is leash trained. Yeah. So,
I mean, what a cool experience for anybody to get to play basketball against a goat.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah.
And he'd make it to the bleachers, and he would come down from the bleachers and go back to shooting some hoop, and then he'd make it to the bleachers. Yeah. So he was a little bit of everywhere. He enjoyed it.
He's not LeBron James. He's the literal goat.
Yeah, literally.
The actual goat.
Yeah, so he's amazing. But so like I said, we have animals. So we call it animal assisted therapy. We just don't want to focus solely on the horses because we do have some kids that may connect with those other animals a little bit more than the horses. A lot of people do experience trauma with horses when riding and things like that. So it can be scary to work with some of those really big creatures. We don't have just the big guys. We have miniature horses. We do try to accommodate that to where we have the littles. I call them the littles and the bigs. So we have one kid who was terrified of horses. So he started by just working with the small horses. He became the mini master. He was amazing at it. And then he worked his way up to the bigger horses. And it was a beautiful thing to see. So
I will say I love coming into work some days and just driving up the driveway and seeing a kid walking a miniature horse.
Yeah.
It brightens my day immediately.
Oh, yeah. We'll walk all over campus. I mean, get ready because you're about to see Navarre, the big old Percheron mix. I've already walked him a couple times on campus. So if a kid doesn't want to come to session, I'll be knocking on their window with big old Navarre there. I've done that before. It actually worked too.
Do they freak out when you do that?
Oh, they got so excited. So excited. And they actually came out they don't want to do therapy. You know, it makes them feel like there's something wrong with them. They got a lot of trauma. There's a lot of reasons why they don't want to do therapy. But that actually made him come out of his room and join me and his therapist. And we had Navarre, or I think it was Daphne with this kid. And he came out and joined us. So it was a beautiful thing. They're not only motivators, but they teach us a lot. The animals taught me a lot about myself. Animals can teach you a lot about, the kind of connection and how to regulate. Because animals, like our horses, they are prey animals. So they need, and we're predators. Like we are like, they need to be regulated as well. They're prey animals. They're always thinking survival. They're either going to run, fight, flight, or freeze. So the kids have to work on regulating themselves to approach the horse in order for that relationship to even catch them, to even put a halter on them, whatever it is. Or even when we start to do the riding, they have to be able to regulate themselves to the point where when we get near that horse doesn't know who the client is. So if your heart's beating really fast, the horse is sensing through, the therapist, the client, and myself, he's sensing all that.
Right, they're very perceptive.
Absolutely, very intuitive. So that's how they survive. Out in the wild, they don't, they're not loud and stuff. There's mountain lions and stuff out there. So, and we're naturally prey animals. We just ate a bacon sandwich that morning and we're going up to this prey, we're actually predators. We approach them with a leather saddle that's dead animal to put on their back. Like that's crazy for them. So for them to build a relationship with us in general is just a beautiful thing. So it takes work to get there because our kids have to work on themselves in order to work with the horse. And the beautiful thing that we do here with the animal assisted therapy is we have rescue animals. So the animals are not perfect. They're not these We don't get them from pet stores or anything like that. We don't get them from fancy farms, and it's fine if you do. But they're rescue animals, so we find the ones that kind of fit our program. And the kids, and the beautiful thing is the animals don't only help the kids, but the kids help the animals.
Right, so they get to bond and heal together.
Yes.
And I hear something that Leslie Bratcher says, one of our colleagues who works. What is her title now? Is it director?
Don't ask me. I don't even know my own title. She's a director of clinical.
Yeah,
services.
Something.
She's director of everything, but she is director.
I hope she doesn't listen to this.
Listen, she's the director of the equine program. That's all I care about.
She's gonna out us for not knowing her title. But yeah, I know that Leslie has for a long time been a big advocate for the barn and is very involved in the programming there. Mm-hmm. But something that I've heard Leslie say, and yourself as well, is that healing it's a lot easier to start with an animal if you have lost your trust for human beings. Then
Absolutely.
Sometimes learning to trust an animal is kind of a gateway to learning to trust people again.
Yes.
And that really, I think, is a single line that can explain why animal-assisted therapy is so important for foster youth specifically.
Absolutely. That's probably why they don't want to meet with that therapist that day. But with the animal, they can trust them a little bit more. They've been traumatized by a person. So, and they may have been traumatized, who knows what they have, but traumatized by people. So why not start with the animal who they can trust? And then the whole goal is the principles are the same. The principles we want the kids to take away from this, clients, I should say. The techniques are different. So the principle could be building trust, building social skills, or learning to regulate anger. They can do all that with the animals, and they're more willing to do it. Like they don't cuss you out as teenagers and tell you to leave them alone. They're actually really willing to do it. Like that kid who didn't want to come out, and the horse popped up at his window and he's ready to come out. So it's really cool. It's not magic. It's, there's a science behind it too, I'm sure, but I don't want to get into all that because I could. But it's really neat that motivation can come from that. And not only that, like I said, the horses are prey animals, and we're naturally predators. We even look like predators. So when a kid goes through that amount of trauma, their brain kind of becomes more of that prey mentality, just survive. That's why they have all these behaviors. They're not bad kids. They just are. They've learned to survive. Right.
And I know like we've been learning about the science of it in some of our trainings. When you experience trauma, it causes those neural pathways to become stronger and fire more quickly. And so you constantly have your guard up, and something that might not cause a reaction, I should say a negative reaction, in somebody else who doesn't or hasn't experienced trauma will cause that negative reaction in a child who has, because that neural pathway is developed to be protective, overprotective.
Yes. It's quite amazing though, because then they connect in that way. So a client can connect closer with that horse who also has that prey mentality, because they do. Horses have to. In the wild, obviously, it's more extreme. They're getting eaten by, who knows, mountain lions, everything out there. Here, they are domesticated, but it's still imprinted in their brain.
Yes, to survivors.
Yes.
So what do sessions normally look like? I know you say you bring the horses to the window sometimes, or bring the goat to the basketball court.
We're not always peeking in the windows, okay? That was just to get that kid out, okay? But it worked. So we usually the client, the therapist will recommend animal-assisted therapy. Obviously, if they do really good in an office setting, we don't want to tear that away. They can stay in the office setting. There are other things and other ways to get up to the barn to hang out with the animals. But if a kid is struggling in the office setting or is struggling to regulate, we take more of those harder, I don't want to call them harder clients, but that's just the best way I can explain it today. They'll come to the barn, and the first couple of sessions, they're going to learn just to become comfortable, learn expectations of the barn, meet the animals. And then after a while, they'll click to one. They'll connect with one. And that's the one that they get to choose who they want to work with. And they kind of stick with that animal. Not always.
It's kind of like the wand chooses the wizard.
Yes, see? But they kind of choose that animal. It could be the pig. It can be one of the dogs. It could be anything. It's who they connect with and who they feel safe with. So they start from there, and they start to build, like animals. You can build a real relationship with animals. And I love horses so much. And I know I brag about them a lot, but they will give you instant feedback. They are not perfect as well. They will check out. They will, they will try to take advantage. Like they're very, very intelligent creatures. But it works for the kids. They learn a lot about themselves just working with that horse and getting that feedback back to them. So
I've been nipped by Roscoe several times.
Sweet Roscoe.
So I understand the negative feedback for sure.
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you your space, buddy.
Like I said, it's not always about, what we're presenting. It could be something that happens with him. And the kids learn that, oh man, he's having a bad day. What can we do to help him? Kid could be in a very good mood, but Roscoe's in a very bad mood, and Roscoe's one of the horses. They work to help him. And he was a horse that took a little bit, like the kids, he took a little bit longer to build trust with. He was not a horse that you can just immediately give to anybody, and he was all just head over heels, loving all over him like a dog. He had so much trauma, that horse did, that he had to work on even him. The kids had to help him heal as well in order to become the horse that he did. And the more you work with them and build a healthy relationship, not just any relationship, but a healthy one, the better the horse will be. The horse can think and make decisions on their own. Their prey mentality is not only prey, get, run, just survive. Even the animals can thrive.
Yeah. Well, not to be overly profound, but I guess the best relationships, human or animal, are the ones you have to work more to build.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I have wild Mustangs, and they are eye openers. One day maybe we'll get them here, but maybe not right now. I mean, imagine.
I've heard all about these Mustangs.
Oh man, they're eye openers because they have even more. Like I said, the horse mentality of being a prey animal. It's even more. They're not these domestic horses that are used to these people. So. But the horses still have that in them. It's just natural. So it's amazing, though. It'll teach you a lot about yourself. It'll teach you a lot about the environment, all of that.
I guess speaking of challenges then, and, like the Mustangs who are a little bit harder to break through to, do you have any memorable sessions or any animal-related moments on the BGH campus that were either good or bad? I can think of one, not that I witnessed, but that I heard about.
I have a lot of stories. Which one did you hear?
Well, I heard one about I think this was Kara Murray, who's a former employee who's here for a long time, talking about she drove up to campus one day and one of the horses was walking down Goldsmith Lane, or maybe it was Bardstown Road.
Yep.
It had gotten out of the enclosure.
Yeah, it was. We've had that before. We try not to let that happen. It gives me extreme anxiety. Anybody who knows me
very rare.
Is like, why did you bring that up to her? Because I'm like, are they in there right now? It was a scary thing. It was when we were getting our arena built, and the gates were open and not open, and this and that, and we had to put the horse in a certain spot, and those things do happen. Mistakes do happen, and I guess the kids can see that from us too, that we make mistakes as well. A fence was open, and the horses, not just one but a couple, got through, and they were just walking down the road. I literally had to it was a whole movie scene. I had to get in someone's car. The community was amazing though. They were like, there's a horse. And I'm like, they're like, I think that's Boys and Girls Town. I'm like, that's me. And I was wearing a chicken shirt that said just winging it. I looked like an idiot, but I was like, like I was trying to catch them. But someone let me jump in their car, and they sped up, and I was like, get in front of them. They're like, no. And I was like, get in front of them. It worked out beautifully though. We did get up there, and I just grabbed the lead horse, and we had to walk of shame back to where they needed to be. So that was a very scary moment. It will never happen again.
You can always count on the Louisville community to band together in your time of need.
Yes, they were wonderful. Like that car that they followed us back. They made sure we got back. That was a scary moment, and it can be scary moments even without all of that drama. There can be scary moments when the kids are with the animals or the horses. Horses are scary in general. They're very tall. They can be very unpredictable. Any animal can. So it can be. They can have high energy, they can have low energy, so it just depends on the situation. But I don't think we've had anything terrible with kiddos and horses. That it's always been a learning moment. We always use everything as a learning moment, and besides that one.
Well, now that I've stressed you out with that example, are there any good memories that you can think of?
Oh, we have plenty. Yes, I mean, I'm thinking of one. I probably tell the story all the time, but this one, a lot of them can get me goosebumps. There's times where I can get tears in my eyes. I am not a crier. I have an ugly cry, but so I try to hold it in until they leave. That. It's ugly cry. Wait till you see it. You're gonna see it one day.
Too hard on yourself.
It's bad.
You're a great crier.
I don't know if you've seen it. But we had a kid. It was very similar to that kid, and trying to get him, to come out. He didn't want to join. He was very depressed. I don't know what was happening at the moment because I've worked with so many kids, but long story short, he did not want to come to therapy session. He was working with Daphne, the horse, for quite a while, and he finally said yes to come to therapy session. We were in the round pen. We had the horse. I said, hey, let's do an activity that you already know and feel comfortable with. So he was down for that. Let's not do anything new. Let's not do anything scary. New things can be scary. Change can be scary. So he said yes, and it's called he stands in the middle of the arena and he'll ask the horse to go circles around him and the round pen, and then he'll ask the horse to go a different way, and then just with his body energy and pressure and his body motion, he built this relationship with this horse that he's done this, and he can ask her and she respects. Like he can request it, and then she gets to make the decision to meet that request. We always let the horse have a decision, just like we do the clients. Choices create safety. So this day with this client, because he was really struggling, he didn't want to eat, he didn't want to get up, he didn't want to go to therapy, he didn't want to talk to anybody. We got him to do this activity, and they always at the end do a join up. It means the kid still stays, the client still stays in the middle, and they'll ask the horse to join them in their space. And the horse will walk into the space with them. He's done this before. Daphne, the horses, loved this client where that horse would come right up to him and just they had their join up. It's a beautiful moment. It gives me goosebumps because when you work with a horse, to have that moment when there's no lead rope, the horse gets to choose to come to you. You're like, like you get excited. You don't have treats, you don't have cookies. They come to you because they want to. And this particular day, though, Daphne would turn and face him, but not come to him, and that was a little frustrating. So he would ask her to do the circles again. And then he would ask again to meet her in the middle. She didn't want to join up again. She would always face him. She was always watching him, but she never joined up with him. And he thought that was really weird. And so we were trying to ask him about it, but he wanted to try again. So he tried it again. And the horse still didn't come up to him. So in that moment, he got quiet. And we're like, oh gosh, what's happening? So long story short, he did open up to us and said that he had like a lot of suicide ideation. He was having self-harm thoughts. And that horse could sense that intuition, that feeling. She sensed that. I get goosebumps just thinking about it right now. I really do. She sensed that something wasn't right with that client. And I know some people are like, why didn't she just go and comfort him? But she felt that he was unsafe. And he was. And he finally admitted it. And it took a while for him to get there because he didn't want to tell anybody. But with that horse, he was able to admit it. And there was tears and there was, it was emotional. And obviously we took care of the proper assessments. We had a therapist there and we took care of the kid afterwards. But it was a beautiful moment that horse helped him work through that, just to say it, if that makes any sense.
I know in medicine, like half of what medical professionals are able to do is just deliver diagnoses, and just to identify that something is wrong is step number one, so that you can get down to the root of the issue and fix it, hopefully.
Yeah.
So the fact that horse was able to help that child to be able to identify it themselves and get confidence is pretty amazing.
We can't force them to say it. We were trying to be like, are you okay? Are you having some kind of thoughts and feelings? Like he just didn't want to say it to us. But with Daphne, he was able to say it, which was a beautiful moment.
It's a big step.
Yeah, it is.
So you mentioned a few minutes ago the arena being built and that causing some of the havoc with the program. But
it's a blessing, don't get me wrong.
So that's some of the kind of recent growth that the animal assisted therapy program has seen, the barn at Boys and Girls Haven specifically. I know right now they are redoing some of the siding on the building, which is terrific because it was much needed. Very good update to have. But what else is kind of happening with the barn at Boys and Girls Haven, and what are your future plans for the program aside from some of these new developments?
Oh man, like there's so many places we can go, and we like to connect. Like we didn't know we'd have therapy dogs here, but we connect with Possibilities Unleashed in Frankfurt, and now they helped us get these certified therapy dogs, and now we have therapy dogs. I mean, some of our staff have them on campus, not just the animal person here.
And is that Possibility spelled P-A-W? Possibility?
Yes. Good. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Good guess.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got it.
I'm like a horse. I'm perceptive.
There. See, you're learning. So things happen. I didn't even know that was going to happen. But so things do fall, and we do like to partner with others. So it is kind of to say, who knows? But with the arena, it's super awesome. I know when I first started here, I was like, oh my gosh, can we ride the horses? And they're like, no. And I was like, what? And I was like, that's okay. Because there's a lot of stuff you can do on the ground. And even for personally, I start with respect on the ground. I have to get respect from the horse on the ground before I can get in the saddle. So we kind of do that with the kids. They don't just immediately come and hop on a horse. They have to work with the horse just a little bit, build that connection on the ground, and then they get to be in the saddle, I guess.
My immediate thought hearing that, I am transported to the third Harry Potter movie where he meets the Hagrid has his class, and Harry has to earn the respect and the trust of I forget what the skeleton winged horse animals are called.
I have no clue. I am a Star Wars fan, not a Harry Potter. Don't kill me on that.
Well, that's nothing wrong with that. But basically what happens is he earns its respect and its trust.
Yep.
And then Hagrid goes, okay, I think I'll let you ride him now, and sticks him up on its back, and it flies him around the school. And
there you go. I mean, that's kind of what we try to do.
That's what it sounds like.
Some kids do have trouble building that relationship on the ground. And maybe we like to have the horses trained and trusted enough, even connected with me as an equine specialist. That's why I'm so important. No, I'm just kidding. That's why it is important to have an equine specialist, to have that horse where they can connect with me a little bit too. And we might put them, it's very rare, but we might put them on the horse to help them regulate, to get them to that point. So even then, there's a benefit on both sides, but I do like for them to build a relationship on the ground a bit and then get up in the saddle. But there has been moments where they have gotten up in the saddle to be able to build that relationship. Sometimes they just can't even get there. So that motion of the horse can regulate them. So like I said, they said no when I first started to riding the riding of the horses here at Boys and Girls Haven. And now with the arena, I don't know if it was the magic of the arena or what, we finally are starting rhythmic riding. I'm trying to get certified in something called natural lifemanship, and they call it rhythmic riding. It's kind of like therapeutic riding. It's a beautiful way. You could do EMDR on horseback. You could do trauma processing on horseback. The motion of the horse is regulating the client as well as the connection with the horse, where the therapist is there, and that's when we can start getting into some of that deep stuff in therapy.
And for those of us who don't know, can you explain what EMDR is?
Oh gosh, I'm not good with that. Nope.
Just the one line, single, quick explanation.
It's very beneficial in the therapy world. I'm not going to go into it. Definitely get a therapist. They are all learning it. I'm trying to learn it with the horse piece. But it's been very beneficial where there is like sensations, like noises, feelings of something rhythmic.
Does that have anything to do with bilateral motion?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope you know more because you can say more. But yes. Yeah. Absolutely. That it's predictable. There's a pattern. Okay. You know what I mean?
There you go. That's the perfect explanation. So I know like walking can be therapeutic because it's one step and then the next step and then so on. Mm-hmm. And that is able to regulate your brain and calm you down because you know what's coming next.
Yes.
It's the same thing on a horse.
Yeah. You're rocking in a rocking chair, but sometimes that just isn't what the kids need. They do walk a lot. They may try to sit. They may not be able to sit in that rocking chair. A lot of times they can get on the back of a horse because they're excited about that. That is an exciting thing. So not necessarily teaching them to ride, to go be cowboys, go in the Kentucky Derby. We're not doing that. We're using it for trauma-focused therapy. Trauma-focused equine-assisted therapy is what we do with that riding. So it's really cool. It is new to us with that arena. It gives us the perfect opportunity, whether there's sun or rain or whatever. We have this nice little spot and there's no grass. Thank goodness. The horses love to eat that grass. So it gives them a spot to be able to, the horse can focus, the client can focus, gets us out of the weather a little bit. We can even do groups in there. We don't just work individually. We do have groups. So it's a beautiful place to be able to put the clients and even the dogs. There's an obstacle course now for the dogs in the arena. Like, they're not running out in the field. So it's a nice enclosed area to keep everybody safe and focused and comfortable, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see the facilities are following the program in terms of quality. Because I know the program is done exceptionally well with therapy and ingenuity and coming up with new ways of doing things. And now the facilities are starting to match. And
thank goodness.
It's all really coming together.
We got that new arena, and then the barn was kind of struggling. So we're like, we got to do some renovations on that. Yeah. And as they're fixing the siding, they're finding more problems with the barn.
As you do.
Yep. So they are amazing. They're getting it fixed.
Yeah, well, bless those carpenters.
That's right. Yeah, I gave them lunch the other day. We're trying to treat them right. You know what I mean? Keep working. I can't do that. I know horses, but I'll use zip ties and duct tape to anything else.
Keep the builders happy, and they'll make sure your facilities are happy.
I need it.
All right, Sarah. Well, thank you so much again for doing this, and this was very educational, informative for me, and hopefully for anybody listening, it was as well. Do you have any last final advice maybe for individuals who have like family pets or want to get involved in animal assisted therapy in some way? Maybe anybody who's on the fence about getting a pet at home and is wondering maybe why they should.
That's a good point. Any animal can be a therapy animal. It's about the relationship and the connection piece. So any animal can be a therapy animal. It can be, like we said, the goat, the pig. It can be a fish. Like any animal can be therapeutic. Some people don't know how to coordinate that maybe a little bit more. So you got people like me that can guide some of those sessions or give extra services. But any animal can be a therapy animal for sure. I think you can ask anybody who has a pet, and they'll probably say, yes, like that animal helps me.
Well, my own experience, I love going home after a long day of work and cuddling up on the couch with my cat, watching an episode of Futurama or something.
Yes, your cat's amazing, though, so I get it.
He is, yeah. I take him on walks. I am still taking him on bike rides. I have that little backpack for him, and I put him in a harness with a leash that attaches to the backpack so he can poke his head out.
Oh, yeah.
He puts his paws on my back while I'm on my bike. And,
yeah, it's true, everybody. He does this.
Yeah. Well, he is a phenomenal time, and I do too, because I like making him happy.
That's right. And I think they kind of like making us happy. So
it is definitely, the relationship goes both ways.
That's right. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Haven Happenings podcast. You can listen to more episodes or learn more by visiting us online at boysandgirlshaven.org.